Yo, what's going on, E7 fam? Pat here, back to talk about Artena's equipment crafting event. This is a event that comes around every couple of months and is one of the most important resources for any player playing Epic 7. It is a chance for newer players to get a really strong piece of gear to help progress their account forward. And it's also a really valuable event even for veterans because it gives you a chance to take something oddly specific to help finish off a project character. If you're new, I'm going to assume that you've watched my new player equipment guide, and if you haven't, I'll link it down in this video's description. Basically, I'm not going to sit here and explain all of the finer points of gearing in this game. I'm going to assume you have a basic understanding of how gearing works, substat ranges, reforges, things like that. So let's explain really quickly how this event works. When it's available, you'll go to the Sanctuary and you'll see in the bottom right the Steel Workshop will have that blue event thing. When you click on Steel Workshop, again, you'll see Crafting Event with the blue indicator here that the event is live. During this time, which for this video is going to be August 31st, 2023 to September 27th, 2023. During that time, any stamina you spent, you will accrue points which you can use to spend to make your piece of gear from Artena's equipment crafting event. You can spend points to choose the specific set from any in the game, then spend points to select a specific equipment part. That could be either a weapon, a helmet, a chest piece, a necklace, a ring, or a pair of boots. Number 3, you can spend points to select the equipment's specific main stat. If you've watched the gearing video or you understand how gearing works at all, you know that left side gear, that is weapons, helmets, and chest pieces, have fixed main stats, whereas the right side gear, necklaces, rings, and boots, have variable main stats. For that reason, it is always correct during Artena's equipment crafting event to take a necklace, a ring, or a pair of boots. Do not choose a weapon, a helmet, or a body piece. The reason for that is because those only have 4 random stats, whereas obviously right side gear has 5. Therefore, it is significantly harder to make right side gear, and considering you control all the variables in this event, it is way better to choose a harder to gear or harder to acquire piece of gear overall. After that, you spend your points to re-roll the substats on the piece of gear until you find 4 that you really like, and hopefully they have really high ranges and they're not like super low roll. Obviously, you really want high rolled. After that, you lock in the piece and then you receive it and then obviously level it up and reforge it as you would with any piece of gear. So real quick, let's run down 6 pieces that I think are really good for new players, and we'll cap it off with some advice for you veterans out there, and I'll show you the personal piece that I am going to take from this actual event. So first up, speed boots. Main stat speed boots are so important. I learned when I did my no hunt challenge that this game is absolutely terrible at giving new players boots with the main stat speed. Speed is king. It is the best stat in the entire game. If we come down here to the conquest points section, you can see here some of the arena gear that I haven't acquired from this season. Almost all of them have the attack percentage main stat on them for most of these seasons. And most of the event gear that we receive in the game and most of the gear you get from raids is like attack percentage, main stat, health percentage, or defense percentage. It's not speed. And speed is king, the most important stat. So I think if you don't have boots with speed as the main stat, that is the number one choice, I think, for what you'd actually want to take. As for what sets, I recommend going for either speed set for just a generically usable one throughout the course of your lifetime playing this game, or penetration if you want to go for more of a damage dealing thing and you actually have the ability to farm the hunt KDs already to get a matching piece. But speed set with main stat speed boots, I think, is probably the safest bet for any new player playing this game. As for substats, if you are going to try to use it for a damage dealer, attack percentage, critic chance, critic damage, and health percentage is going to be the 4 basic ones. That's the ones that's going to be the most usable. Having a speed set, main stat speed boot with good damage subs is always going to be usable on your account. If you're looking for something that is for a tank or a support, then you can obviously change the substats to health, defense percentage, either effectiveness or effect resistance in the 3rd slot, and then either again effectiveness or effect resistance in the 4th slot, or possibly even like flat health or flat defense, although I don't recommend choosing flat stats for a newer player. But yeah, again, number one overall choice for a new player, speed set, speed main stat boots. Second off, or I guess in this case third off, because we already talked about two different types of boots, is going to be a damage ring, specifically a speed set ring with attack percentage as the main stat. Damage dealers are the most common type of character in the game, and you need a huge roster of them to deal with all the various different PvE and PvP things that you will come across while playing Epic 7. Since attack percentage is the most common form of damage dealer and speed is just generically the best set overall, it makes sense to take a speed set with attack percentage main stat, as it's going to be just, again, the most generically useful. As for the stats here, critical hit chance, critical hit damage, speed, and your choice of health percentage or defense percentage on the fourth substat is going to be the best option for you. I see some people advocate taking penetration set instead of speed set in this case, and that is certainly an option you can go for, but I only would do that if you can already clear the higher floors of the Katie's Hunt, or you already have really strong penetration gear that you've acquired through some other means in your possession. Otherwise, I think sticking with speed with the attack percentage main stat with the subs I just talked about is the best way. One other thing I see people talk about is subbing out the health percentage or defense percentage stat at the end with flat attack. Technically, that is min-maxing the character, and for a lot of damage dealers, especially like glass cannon DPS, like say like Kisei for example, that could definitely be the best way to go about it. But for a newer player, you risk potentially low rolling or rolling all into flat attack, and that piece is not exactly super great. And for veterans, they have the ability to fall back on gear they already have. But if that is your one and only damage ring, then you're kind of stuck with it, and that really sucks. So I don't recommend taking flat attack as a newer player. Fourth, let's talk about a DPS necklace, because it's, makes sense. If you already got DPS rings and speed boots, you might need a DPS necklace. This is going to be on speed set with the main stat as critical hit damage. Critical hit chance, speed, and health are three subs you will always want, but the fourth one depends on the kind of damage deal that you're trying to gear. For characters that say that their damage increases proportional to max health, they don't need attack percentage, so choosing defense percentage would be better for you. But for most damage dealers, attack percentage is going to be the best option in that fourth slot. You could also, as a veteran, take lifesteal as the set over speed here. If you have the ability to farm Banshee or you have a ton of lifesteal gear, these same subs will actually work for the same exact types of characters, so keep that in mind. As for our fifth piece, it is another damage necklace, but this one is going to be for the destruction set specifically. So this one is a destruction set critical hit chance necklace. The reason why it's not critical hit damage is because the set already gives 60% critical hit damage, and the cap of critical hit damage is 350. So having the necklace plus the set plus characters' bases means you will most likely hit the cap if you're trying to build for a DPS. It is still something you could take, but I find that critical hit chance necklaces usually work better on destruction set in the long run. And the reason it's here for newer players is because I find that a lot of players don't have this style of necklace. There are certain characters, such as Green Armin, that are incredibly strong in PvP versus aggressive comps, especially for new players who don't have all of the tools, or you might not have like specific collab characters like Karina. So having the ability to have a destruction set critical hit chance necklace early on will allow you to build some of the harder to build health scaling bruisers in the game, and will also be super good for certain anti-aggressive units, like I said, like Green Armin. Again, it is a piece that I feel like most people that play Epic 7, even some of the veterans, don't really have access to. They don't really look for destruction with critical hit chance as the main stat. Obviously, as time has gone on, more and more of those have been out there. But I would say even as far back as maybe 9 months ago, this still felt like a relatively rare piece, but it is really strong if you're looking to build a bruiser specifically on the destruction set. Even Spectre Tenebria, if you took that character from your Moonlight Blessing at the start of the game, this is a necklace you can absolutely use and will be super, super good for you in the long run. So destruction set with critical hit chance as the main stat. As for subs, health percentage, critical hit damage, and speed. And then the last one, just like we talked about with the previous necklace, defense percentage for those health scaling bruisers. Otherwise, go for attack percentage for most of your actual basic DPS, like again, that Moonlight Blessing Spectre Tenebria that you can take as a new player in this game. Finally, the last piece to talk about is a tank/support ring or even a necklace. So I guess this could also be 6 and 7 if you think about it, just like how we had boots as 1 and 2. So again, speed set is going to be the set because it's just generically the best, and it mathematically gives the second most amount of stats. Destruction gives the most, but tanks and supports don't want damage. They want, just raw stats in order for them to do their job. So speed set with the main stat of health percentage. After that, defense percentage and speed are a lock, and then your choice of either effectiveness or effect resistance in the third slot. And again, you can choose the one you didn't choose in the fourth. Otherwise, choose flat HP or defense. Although, again, I caution you as a new player to not actually take flat stats. It is technically min-maxing. It could be better for you, but I worry about the piece actually bricking. So this is basically, again, 6/7 when you think about it, because you could choose the health percentage on the ring and the necklace with the same subs that we actually talked about here. But again, I think this is probably the lowest priority because, again, most characters are damage dealers in the game. You need damage to progress in the game. And while it's nice to have tank and or support rings get you started, you can see that there's not too many subs that you would actually want to use on here. It's just defense, speed, and then either effectiveness or ER. Very rarely do characters need both. And then you're going to end up with that flat health or flat defense. So larger chance to brick. I think if you already have the first couple we talked about, then this is definitely one that you would want to consider here at the end. Or if you're just desperate to have some kind of frontliner built, then this is one you can choose. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is for you veterans out there. You probably already have several pieces like the ones we already talked about. You might have like a dozen or more speed set attack percentage rings. You might have, 50 or more of the speed set boots. So for you guys, while it is safe to take another like quality piece like that, it doesn't actually progress your game state when you think about it. If you take a look at a character like Hua Young here, she can't really use a lot of the stats in the game. She can't land any critical hits, so critical hit damage necklace and critical hit chance necklace do nothing for her. She wants to have as low a health as possible due to her S3 Monarch's Flaming Strike, so she doesn't want health or flat health. On top of that, Monarch's Flaming Strike dispels all debuffs from her, so she doesn't really want effect resistance. And she also doesn't actually have any debuffs of her own in her kit, so she can't use effectiveness. So that means that the only configuration of stats that she can use on a necklace is attack percentage is the main stat with flat defense, defense percentage, flat attack, and speed. That's all she can use. And now this one that's on your screen here is pretty ugly. But the one that I used to have on, or I should say I currently have on Aranka, used to be on my Hua Young. And this one doesn't look particularly amazing as far as equipment or gear score goes, but 107 flat attack on a 65% attack piece with relevant subs is still pretty good. And this is something I took in the past with Artena's crafting event at the height of Hua Young's popularity because I didn't have anything else that would make the character work. So when that time came for that event, I could have taken an attack percentage ring on speed set, or I could have taken a crit hit chance necklace on destruction set, or I could have taken a pair of speed boots. Like, these are all things that are really good and all, but that didn't let me play Hua Young. So there wasn't really a reason to not take the piece for Hua Young. It looks bad compared to other pieces that are out there, but if I am looking for that one specific piece and I have the ability to take one piece every 2 or 3 months and it has the exact subs that I need to play the character that I want to play, and I have already got most of the staple pieces that I've talked about in this video, then why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I take that piece in order to finish a project? Many other high-end players do the same, but I never see any other content creators advocate for this. And it's, truth be told, the reason why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to make something that would help new players, but also point out that sometimes it's correct to use the crafting piece on something you want. Case in point, here's my Senya. You'll notice that the boots I have on her, while serviceable, aren't exactly the greatest in terms of gear score, and this flat piece right here on health, I don't really want that. Like, I could be taking a boot with health, defense, ER, attack percentage, and then I have no real wasted subs. And I have a couple of swaps that I can make here to make things line up correctly if I don't roll 21% health on the new piece. Obviously, I could swap some of the attack on the other pieces and things around. But I really want a better boot. And the thing is, this is a character like Hua Young where I can only use attack percentage, health percentage, defense percentage, ER, and speed. Like other subs aren't really pertinent to this character. So there's not really a reason to use, not take something like that. Like it's a character that wants 4 to 5 specific things, and they're hard to get, especially on something like lifesteal. Like you're not like fishing for essentially tank boots on lifesteal. Usually that's not what ends up happening. So I could spend, months searching for a new pair of boots for Senya. In fact, I have spent months looking for a better boot for Senya. So when Artena's crafting event came around and I still haven't found that boot, Senya is a core character for how I play the game. So why wouldn't I choose a pair of boots that elevates this character, because it's a character I play very often and it would help elevate her. But if there was another character, like I said, like Hua Yang, if I wanted to re-gear Hua Yang, why wouldn't I take like a torrent set necklace with attack percentage main with defense percentage, flat defense speed, and flat attack? That is something that you can definitely do. And that's what I'm using my actual Artena's crafting piece on. I'm going to take a lifesteal set, pair of boots with speed as my main stat. And I'm going to go looking for that Senya boot that I feel that I really need in order to bring the character to where I want her to be. So hopefully this video will have been of some help to you. I'll post at the end here what the actual final Senya looks like, so you can kind of see. So I'll throw it up here on your screen. If I missed anything, as always, let me know down in the comments below. If there's anything else I need to make a guide on, if you're a newer player, please help me help you. I want to know what you are still struggling with in Epic 7. If there's anything I can do to make that easier, again, let me know down in the comments below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye now.